So my family seems to think these. I'm dealing with my narcissist father, my senile, mentally ill narcissist father, and he. One thing I've noticed about narcissists is they can't understand complicated, and also I think he's not very the, intelligent, and I don't like talking poorly about him, but I'm at my wits end with him, and I don't know what else to do. But basically, he just thinks I just need to get my CDL and then I can just like go trucking. It's not that simple. He always likes to look at things in like a simple, like a simplistic, ultra reductionist like perspective. They can't understand like anything complicated. Like if it can't fit in a soundbite, he can't understand it. So, can you imagine living that way? What a disaster. So I'm just gonna like explain what I need to go back trucking, and I'm almost 40, and I've done trucking for like 7 or 8 years, off and on, maybe not more than that. I've lived out of trucks almost more than I've lived in hotels or apartments at this point. Like I spent more nights sleeping in a truck than I have sleeping in any other type of sleeping arrangement, probably at this point. Um, as an adult at least. And then, so it's just really insulting and gaslighting. He just thinks I need to get my CDL. He's using an abuse tactic that he learned as a prison guard. So in prisons, the guards are like they actually get training on this, how to use different torture methods and abuse tactics with like pressure, using food as a weapon, and using threats as weapons and stuff. That's what that letter was. So he thinks I'm like an inmate and he's like my prison guard or something. It's very strange. But he doesn't realize things are more complicated than he can possibly imagine. Because this guy is a seventh grade. My father has a seventh grade education, which is strange. Like my mother and father both have a seventh grade education, and then I have a seventh grade education, and then my brother basically has like an eighth grade education, I think. Isn't that interesting? So you have generational stupid lack of education there. So like, and the data is clear. If your parents didn't finish high school, then you don't get to finish high school unless like there's like intervention or something. So it sucks being a statistic, but. So he's using this technique. He thinks I just need to get my CDL, and then I can call up a company with my VoIP number and like pack everything in trash bags that I don't even have. Take a Greyhound bus or something. I don't know what he's thinking, but he doesn't understand the way things work in the real world, and he doesn't understand my needs. So I have a fever. I've had a fever for months. I was taking antibiotics in jail. They didn't want me to see a dentist. I still need to get dental care, so like I'm just going to go over all the things I'm going to need to go back trucking, because it's $10,000 at least. Yeah, so once I get my CDL, which I'm not even working on that, I'm just laying in bed watching YouTube. So I'm just passing the time until I can be allowed to get food money, and then I'll eat, and then I'll try to ask for the internet again because I don't have internet here. And I've been here like 6 weeks, and they've never cleaned the room once. I've been eating everything in this room. I don't eat outside of the room, so it's kind of gross in here. It would be nice to have the cleaning crew come in, but I can't. I have nowhere to go, so I need to just change rooms, and so they can clean this one, and I get a clean one. That's typically how you do it. You don't just stay in the same room for 6 weeks and live in your filth, But they don't want me to change rooms for some reason. So yeah, once I get moved into the hotel room with equipment once I procured the equipment to settle into the room and make the room functional for me, with equipment from a bag from Walmart, a $50 bag from Walmart, but 100 items from Amazon. That's like a few $1,000s probably, because I'm gonna need equipment to live out of hotels for the rest of my life, essentially. I mean, I don't see. Like, yeah, I have a plan to eventually get my own place, but I mean, that's going to be a decade probably. It's probably going to be a decade before I can furnish a home for myself, because like I would have to be able to work a normal like security job or something, and that would require a furnished home and a problem-free car that's paid off, and an emergency fund. So I think I explained this in another video, but like basically the trucking is the only choice for me. I'm committed to being nomadic, living this way. And I didn't really choose this. It was kind of forced as like the only option I was allowed to choose from. It was either like prison or because I think my father was trying to turn me into a criminal. He's trying to criminalize me like 10 years ago. He worked in the prison industry, so that's the world he lives in. He loves torturing his son. I think he got a thrill. They don't see anything wrong with forcing me to go to jail for 7 months. They don't see anything wrong with that. They don't think that was anything. They actually think they were justified in calling the cops on me for going to their house, which is my family home. That's where my parents live. Yeah, wherever my parents live, that's my family home. Yeah, you don't, like, before college, you live at home with your parents. I haven't gone to college yet, so I live at home with my parents. I've always seen it that way. I don't know why they never didn't see it that way. It's pretty nasty if you ask me. Yeah, I work in IT after college, but I mean, I have to do this trucking for my family and provide for myself what a family's supposed to provide, which is just a healthy body and no medical problems and no material problems and no financial problems, no problems at all. So yeah, it's gonna take 10 years in a truck to do that. I'm gonna be living out of hotels and trucks for the next 10 years. So it'd probably be a good idea to figure out what that entails and what do I need to do that, because that's pretty crazy. It's really unconventional. That's not how most people live. That's how I'm forced to live due to circumstance, chronic illness, disability, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a situation I find myself in. I mean, it was slow, one thing led to another and I ended up here, But so if he thinks I'm going to go back trucking without high-speed mobile internet, phone service on both phones, all my services up to date, my cloud services that I require. Let's see, my IT operational and functional, that takes time on the computer. Equipment to use the computer properly in the hotel room. Equipment to sleep properly in the hotel room. Equipment to manage my hygiene and my bathing in the hotel properly. Equipment to pack luggage and stuff, and then clothing and equipment to live at, and accessories and things that I require, because I threw everything away when I only brought with me. I threw all my possessions away. I've had to do this repeatedly over my life ever since my family made me homeless. I've had to throw everything I own in the garbage. There's no way to sell. I don't like sell stuff on Facebook or anything. Who has time for that? I can't. That's just too complicated for me. I don't have the energy for that. So, I tried selling a pair of sunglasses once on Facebook Marketplace, and it took so much time and energy to make like nothing. It wasn't even worth it. And so yeah, basically anything reselling like stuff online is, if it's worth like more than $500, it's probably worth it for me. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. I'll just throw it away. Like if it's $100 item, I'll just throw it away. It's not worth it. Maybe $300. I don't know. But I remember trying to sell a nice pair of sunglasses, and I got multiple people coming and look at them and trying to bargain with me, and it just got really crazy. I ended up spending like 10 hours trying to sell this pair of sunglasses that's only worth like $200, So like I basically wasted, so like not even like what's the hourly and I just don't enjoy like negotiating with people and stuff, and it's just really annoying. Like eBay is a little different because you can just list it on eBay, and but you got to have a home to do eBay. I would like to use eBay in the future, but you got to have a home for that. Let's see. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I'm committed to living nomadically, but so I'm gonna be living in hotels and trucks. Now the equipment I need to live in a hotel, there's a lot of crossover between the equipment I need to live in a hotel and the equipment I need to turn a hotel room into a studio apartment. Because you don't just live in hotels. Hotels are supposed to be temporary, but we're doing this permanently. Like for 10 years, that's basically permanent. 10 years hotels and trucks. That's gonna be brutal for someone with my health. That's really brutal. It's actually a form of torture and abuse, but I didn't choose to be this way. I chose to be healthy and go to college. My family had different plans, apparently. And so we basically have all the equipment to turn a hotel room a cheap hotel room at that, into a healthy, livable, workable studio apartment. And keep in mind the beds in these hotels are horrible for my spine. They're just really soft and painful. I need hard beds, firm beds. So this room's really torturing me. I've been trapped in here for 6 weeks now. But yeah, so all that I picked all this equipment out because it's nothing new. I've been doing this for years, and it's like air purifier, luggage, um, charging things like cables and things. The supplements and the medicine and the foods and stuff, that's separate. But the things that are new this round of nomadic living for my family is the refrigeration. Bringing my own refrigerator to the hotel room, that's new. Cooking with an Instant Pot in the hotel room, that's new. I've never done that before. But yeah, like equipment to bathe myself properly, shave, cut my hair, groom myself, all that. And a lot of different medical devices and things, because I have a lot of health problems. For example, like a water pick for my injury, So just different things like that. But yeah, I picked all this stuff out on Amazon, and so there's some crossover between the hotel equipment and the equipment that I use in the truck. And when I go from the truck to a hotel room, I take my hotel specific equipment, and then I take some of my truck stuff into the hotel room. So, and it's quite a project. It takes a few hours to move out of the truck and move into a hotel room. So it's not something you just do for like a day or two. It really takes, a few hours to move from the truck to a hotel room. And there's luggage and things that make that simpler and quicker. And having redundancy, having like a power cord for the hotel room. That way you can leave the other power cord in the truck. So have like a hotel kit that's like redundant. Like, that makes any sense? But yeah, so there's a lot of crossover. Like the pillows, for example. So one thing about living in hotels long term like this, never use the hotel pillows. They're always too soft. I'm almost at the point now where I want to bring my own bed into the hotel room and not even use the hotel bed. It's just so fucking uncomfortable. I mean, I've never had a hotel bed that was pleasant. They're always too soft, and you just sink into the bed. It's really unpleasant, really painful on my spine. I always bring my own pillows. I always bring my own blanket to the hotel room, and also I always bring my own fitted sheet for the mattress, which can be a problem because some hotel rooms are king, some are queen. But I've realized most hotels are king these days. But so that's the equipment I need just to live in a hotel, and it's like $3,000 probably. Oh, and bring your own fans. You want to keep the air circulating. Bring your own air purifier. You need multiple fans. You need a fan for the bathroom to air dry your clothes that you wash in the bathtub, and then you need a fan for that blows on you while you're sleeping. And so just 2 fans. It might be good to have a 3rd fan for the floor in the bathroom as well, to keep the humidity down, to dry out the floor, to dry out your feet and the floor. But so it's quite a bit of stuff. That's the hotel stuff. And then for the truck, you have to provide your own mattress for the truck. There's some truck specific stuff like the mattress, the truck refrigerator that stays in the truck, the butane camping stove. I'm not going to do that in a hotel room. And then like some navigation tools, truck GPS, and like seat cushions and stuff. That all stays in the truck. And then some other equipment I'm going to need is like prescription sunglasses and new prescription eyeglasses. So 2 sets of glasses. That's $600, $800. And then let's see, what else? Oh yeah, the supplements and non-perishable food stuff. That's to get my energy level up and be eating healthy. You're looking at probably at least $1,000 to get the initial stock, and then it's it's like $1,000 a month for that, or maybe $500 a month for that, something like that. and then medications, over-the-counter medications, and then prescription medications. So I do need to see a doctor. I need to get on a few prescription medications immediately. I'm going to need uh, low dose now. I need to use one of these services, these telehealth services. I need to get on low dose naltrexone immediately because it's affecting my sleep. The pain from the gadolinium, I can't sleep properly. Even if I was moved in here, I'd still have trouble sleeping because when I go to lay down to go to bed, I'm just in too much pain from the bone pain from the gadolinium. So, which is treatable with chelation, but I'm not allowed to get that apparently. I really should make a stand and just say I can't go back trucking without chelation, but they've already told me they refuse to pay. They won't pay for, on principle, they won't pay for my chelation. So they won't, on principle, they won't pay for a world-changing medical procedure, medical treatment that I require to be healthy, which I didn't, choose to be this way. I've always chose to have some money, have some emergency money, and be wealthy. That's what I chose. I just didn't know I wasn't allowed to start my career. I never felt like I've been participating in the labor force. I've just been trying a bunch of summer jobs out for my family while they get their lives together so they can support me to go to college. That's how I saw every job I've ever done. Like every job I ever did, trucking, all of that. Just a little summer job, just a little for some pocket change while they get themselves together so I can get their support to go to college. Because that's what I thought the responsibility of the family was, to support their kids to be productive members of society. And I figured out my career was IT and cybersecurity. So how mistaken was I? So they just take no responsibility for anything. So this is me taking responsibility, just voicing my needs, what I need from my family. And I'll go back on a truck and I'll never contact them again. And I'm willing to, do some sort of arrangement, like if they want to help me get the financing, and I'll just make the payments on that or something. Because I'm not expecting a handout. They don't give anything. They don't give anything. They give less than nothing. Like I've given these people 30 years. I had a miserable childhood, wasted my 20s in confusion because of these people. Now they've taken my 30s, pain and suffering and misery and confusion because of their mental illness, their refusal to take any responsibility in the slightest, and they sent me to a government dungeon for 7 months for having nowhere to go after I couldn't drive a truck under the conditions that were impossible, and I haven't been controlling. I'm sensitive to food. I've got problems from my whole life. I learned that I have to eat like a ultra clean, zero or ketogenic or carnivore diet. That's the only kind of diet that works for me and my body and my gut. Therefore, I'm not allowed to cook my own food for the last 10 years. I haven't been allowed to cook food for 10 years. I was cooking healthy and living healthy in my late 20s, and then my mother evicted me and took my kitchen away. And I was assuming I could recreate my kitchen in her house, and it turned out they had different standards for the way they maintain their kitchen, which is basically too dirty and unusable for me. So they made their kitchen too unusable and dirty, so I couldn't eat properly. If I can't eat properly, then I can't sleep properly. And if I can't sleep properly and I can't eat properly, then I'm disabled totally. And that was before gadolinium. And then you add the gadolinium on top of that. I gotta be really careful with my food. I gotta be really careful to eat just the correct food only and nothing else. And sleep properly every night, do everything just perfectly. Because if I make a mistake, then I'm like incapacitated essentially, because I'm very ill. So I just described there what I need to get moved in the hotel room, and then what I'm going to need to be a productive truck driver. And then obviously, the biggest single thing would be just getting chelation, removing the toxic metal from my body. But they don't support that on philosophical grounds, that they're not there for me in an emergency, which is strange because they caused this emergency, when they forced me to drop out of college repeatedly and go to Columbia to get medical care when it was free in California. So they created this, but because they have mental illness, they're like toddlers. They can't take personal responsibility. So imagine getting injured by one of these people and then them blaming you. Imagine. So that's crazy, right? My father would probably blame me for punching me in the head yesterday. I got punched in the head yesterday. So sucker punch, always a surprise attack. I need to just start wearing a helmet when I'm around these people. But hope to God they can just support me to go back trucking and not be disabled in a truck, but actually do professional trucking, as a professional who was equipped properly to do that. And while very sick and managing the health problems, not treating them totally, because you can't just treat it without chelation. I'm just managing, But I've done it before, but I just wasn't eating right. So that was the mistake I made at Prime. I think if I'd been eating right at Prime, it would have been a different world for me. It's just I never wanted to cook. I just didn't want to see myself as a camper. I didn't realize I'm forced, basically, I'm forced out of housing, indoor housing, into being a permanent camper transient. And that's not what I chose for myself. I chose to live in nice buildings and work in technology. But I guess America, you don't get to choose your career. It's only in like the Soviet Union you get to choose your career. No, wait, that doesn't make any sense. So that was the whole point. So yeah, I guess if you come from the wrong people, you don't get to choose what you do for a living. So I always saw every job I ever did, including trucking, everything, all the 50 jobs I've had, I was just like helping my family out with the costs that I incur with my life, while they get their life situated so they can support their kids, because that I saw that as like the social responsibility of the family to put their kids through college. So I always knew I'd be like incapable of providing for myself long term if I don't go into my career, because but this is how I can provide for myself. Trucking, I do have the skills now. It's just, damn, I wasted so much time trucking. If only I'd spent that time doing technology, who knows how successful I'd be now. But they always wanted me to work below my potential. I realized they're projecting their own, my father especially, he projects his own shortcomings onto me. So I've asked him repeatedly why he wanted me to drop out of college, and he says, you dropped out because you're stupid. So I think he gave up on education when he was young because he decided he was too stupid. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he can't read or something, I don't know. And then he projects his own shortcomings onto me. He can't imagine that I don't have the same disability or whatever that he had with education. But it is kind of strange that I don't think he finished high school. I think he was a street kid in England. So different worlds. And so yeah, I want nothing to do with these people. These are not my kind of people. My people are like engineers, scientists. Those are my kind of people, educated, technical people. And but yeah, great thing about trucking is you don't really hang out with anybody. It's just you and yourself. And yeah, eventually, you don't really even have to interact with people, which is great. Or eventually in the future, I'd like to not have to interact with any fleet truck managers or people in this industry, because the whole industry is nasty. It's just not my culture. So like my family, for the longest time, they're like trying to get me to work in IT in a trucking company without any education in IT formally. And I kept telling them, like, yeah, I don't want to work in this industry. It's not my industry. So like, yeah, there are IT jobs in the trucking industry, but the trucking industry is not my culture. So you have to choose an industry that is your culture. So my culture is like Star Trek nerds and libertarian people and like AI people. Yeah, like my culture is like the company culture at like Tesla. That's my culture. Or probably at like Dell Computer or something, or like I don't know, like a Bitcoin company or something. That's my culture. Corporate America, really. But trucking companies have their own unique culture, and it's like a blue collar, has its own flavor to the people and the culture, and it's not mine. I guess mine's like Silicon Valley culture, Silicon Valley tech bro, or I guess Austin tech bro. That's my culture. So a trucking company that's not me. I wouldn't even work in IT in a trucking company. Now I would see myself working in IT in like a hospital or something, because I just think that'd be interesting. But you kind of bring your own culture wherever you go. But yeah, I just don't want to interact with like truck dispatchers. I think I see them as scum of the earth. I really do. Trucking dispatchers and fleet managers, I see them as just rotten people. The same culture as people who run car dealerships, rotten salespeople that are scammy and shady and unscrupulous. I just don't want to be affiliated with that whole industry. And yeah, every industry is corrupt to some degree, though. But yeah, that was the equipment. I listed the equipment verbally. It's all in my Amazon cart, ready to go. I just need a credit card. And then the equipment to live in a hotel and use a computer in the hotel and be productive in the hotel. We cover the comms. We cover the medical. Yeah, I do need to get on TRT as well, because my testosterone is low. That's why my tits are growing and my ass is growing. It's pretty nasty. So I need Testosterone helps you endure pain, and it also lowers inflammation, which is why men don't get the gadolinium disease as badly as women do, which is why you see more women with gadolinium disease. And as I become more estrogen dominant, it's because I'm not eating the right food, and I probably have other problems from the gadolinium. I need to get on TRT. So I need to get on TRT, low dose naltrexone, and metformin, and start eating real food for the first time in 10 years, sustain it consistently. That means I have to buy the food from the grocery store, store it in the hotel room at the correct temperature, cook it at the correct way, and have all the equipment to do that cleanly and effortlessly, or as effortlessly as possible. And then some IT equipment and IT equipment for using computer in the hotel, equipment for using technology in the truck, some medication and different things. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Yeah, all that's a lot of money, and I don't expect my father to just like shell out thousands of dollars for me, but he can get me a credit card because I ruined my credit. I can't get my own credit card. He can give me a credit card, and I'll just make the payments. I'll pay it off, and because like I said, once I go back trucking, it costs me between $600 and $800 a week to live in the truck, and I'll be making before deductions between $1,400 and $1,600 a week. So basically half my check will be quote disposable, if you will. I mean, not really, but technically I'll have half my check disposable every week. So that means I could work a week to pay the debts off, and then have 3 more weeks to put into savings, or just work and pay it off quickly and not incur any interest if we get a 0% car. So that'd be the correct thing to do. That's what a father would do for his son in this situation. But he hasn't been a father for 39 years, so I don't think he's going to start now. But I do have to go back trucking, and that's how we would do it. And I'm going to need 30 days in the hotel room at least once I get moved in before I can leave hotel life and go back to truck life. So because I have a lot of rehabilitation I have to do, a lot of medication I need to start taking, a lot of work on the computer to get ready to not have access to a computer, because you don't have a computer in the truck. So there's no time to open up the laptop on the truck. There's no, between cooking, showering, sleeping, and planning and driving, there's no, you work 90 hours a week and you're exhausted. So that's another thing I want to mention is not all time is usable time. Like I had a year starving on the floor at my apartment, unfurnished apartment. I have a ton of work to do, but I wasn't working there. I was just surviving in a survival scenario and just passing the time, trying to watch, basically just like watching the clock. So I wasn't doing anything productive with that time. Kind of like in jail, I wasted a year, almost more than half a year of my life, just trying to survive in a shitty situation. So I've given these people, I feel like I've never done anything in my life yet. I'm almost 40. Just because these people have taken so much and forced me into so many survival scenarios where I'm not able to be myself and do what I value, which is like health and, connection and finding meaning in my life, work, and those sorts of things. So it's looking pretty dark. They're not talking to me as usual, my father. And, but I'm going to keep asking for help and on here publicly. And I'm sending these videos to them. I'm just hoping I can be supported or allowed to get the support for myself to go back, to get out of this shitty situation. I didn't choose this, but I do see a way to fix my life without the help of my family. It's just going to take like 10 years in a truck. Another 10 years. Damn. The decades keep flying by, and I don't understand how, if only I could go back in time and just adopt a different set of parents and, go to college and study computers instead of searching people's luggage at the airport and driving, sitting in traffic, and just all this nonsense I've done for my family, flying all around the world to try to get the cost down so it's just so crazy. I need to work with someone in the future, a professional like a therapist, to get a cohesive story of my life and how much they've stolen from me and how they've tried to take away my identity by forcing me into all these jobs that are not me. So, but at this point, there's nothing more I want to do than go back on a truck. And I'm not going to go back on a truck without sunglasses or without low-dose naltrexone, or without dental care for my jawbone infection that's driving me mad, or without the correct equipment to sleep properly. So they're trying to put me disabled into a truck, and then on the hamster wheel, the poverty hamster wheel that I just survived on for like 6 months before I came up here. And it didn't work six months ago. It's not going to work now. They just got to do things correctly. Just got to let me control what goes into my mouth. So, which means I only eat real food only. Yeah, I don't eat processed food. I don't eat McDonald's. I don't eat Wendy's. I don't eat TV dinners. My father was telling me I should start eating TV dinners. Maybe he's never looked at the ingredients on those and checked to see if that actually agrees with my medical conditions, because you'll find out it doesn't. It actually doesn't agree with anybody, and it causes cancer. So this guy gave himself cancer, and he has to take stool softener. I saw 10 years ago he had stool softener in his medicine cabinet, which maybe check what you're eating before you start taking that kind of stuff. I don't even know what that is, but yeah. So I know how to eat, what kind of food works in my gut. It turns out it's just real human food, So yeah, I don't eat food out of microwave ovens or cans. That's not real human food. That's like kibble or something. Human kibble, fake food and poison. Yeah, I eat real food only, and that's just what works with my body, which is very sick. And so that's the only way I can function on this earth. So I got to start eating real food. Just got to let me take my life seriously and do things properly. And they took my kitchen away 10 years ago. The least they could do is let me recreate a proper home, but in a hotel and in a truck for them. Because I have to live that way for my family for the next 10 years at least, which is really sad, because that means I'm going to be in my 50s going to college. So, but I didn't choose this. I chose to go to college in my 20s, but it wasn't allowed yet. So now I just got to allow it for myself.